Hey, Dennis here with Grounded Reason Podcast, August 17th, 2016 Update Edition. What I'm going to try to do is during the week between the Monday shows, I'll hop on if news happens, I'll hop on the microphone and give you guys an update of what's going on. Now, this is only going to be information about topics we discuss on Grounded Reason Podcast. For instance, we've been doing a lot of cord cutting lately. If any streaming service out there picks up a new channel or a new streaming service gets released, I'll hop on and give you guys an update, and that'll happen same day. So the day it happens, if you subscribe, it'll come into your feed and you'll be able to hear it. So it's really just a news update. It's like a news service for you subscribers out there. Today, I wanted to talk about some shenanigans going on with the cable companies trying to exploit the good intentions of the FCC. Now, I mean, I'm not always on board with what the FCC is doing. It's about 50-50. But in this case, I definitely am, and I'm really against what the cable companies are trying to pull off here. Back in March, the FCC voted to redo the privacy rules in relation to broadband. There really wasn't any rulings on the type of data that they could collect, and they want to kind of establish a baseline and make it transparent so you can decide what internet service provider you want to go with, and you use the knowledge of the information they collect on you and factor that into your choice of ISP. Now, it came about because AT&T was actually collecting this information, and they would charge customers to opt out. In other words, they're collecting data on you with their AT&T Uverse product, their internet product, and internet access product. And if you didn't want them to know the sites you're going to or collect cookies on you, you would actually have to pay a fee. The FCC doesn't seem too keen on that and are looking at revising that so it can't happen. Well, earlier this month, Comcast filed arguments with the FCC saying that charging people to opt out of their snooping software is a perfectly acceptable business practice. And the reason they cite is that the price of broadband, if we implement rules where they can't snoop or, they can't charge a fee for them not to snoop, then the price of broadband will go up. Now, I know on its surface that doesn't make much sense. Like, why would it cost more for them not to snoop into your internet traffic than if they did? And it really gets down to their profit margins, because a lot of that information and data they use for advertising, and that's money. That's money in their pocket. That if they can't get this data, that they're not going to be able to use to maximize their profits. Now, AT&T's logic on this is that you're charged this rate right now. You're already charged a discounted rate, and if you opt out, it goes up. So they're reverse engineering a discount into this, which is kind of ridiculous. They're basically saying, no, we're offering someone a discount for allowing us to look into their data, but no one knows this. And if you opt out, then that discount gets removed and your bill shoots up like $20 to $30 a month, which is pretty insane. Now, Carl Bodie over at DSLreports.com, he has an article released yesterday titled ISP Think Tank, Charging for Broadband Privacy Helps the Poor. Now, that title is Carl Bodie kind of, throwing the study's findings back on him. He's an advocate for a more free and fair open internet, and he writes a good deal on the subject. And I follow him. Suggest you should. He'll keep you up to date on all these shenanigans that are kind of going on out there with the various cable companies and what they're trying to do to deprive everybody in the United States of fair and open internet access at an affordable rate. So basically, the ISP think tank, called the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation, released a, I'm doing air quotes, study that tried to claim that charging users for more to protect their privacy will somehow lower their bills. Yeah. And if you read the study, which I'll link his article in the show notes. If you read the study, you'll see it's pretty ludicrous. And really, they're just taking the logic that AT&T has, saying that they're already being offered a discount, and if you were to not allow ISPs to snoop your line, then they would not be able to give this discount, and it would disproportionately affect the poor. Really, it kind of what really bugs me about this is it all really gets back to the monopolies that these companies hold. If there were fair and open competition amongst internet service providers, and there was more, it was built, the regulations were made to where it would be easier for other companies to enter into this market, then they wouldn't be able to use these ridiculous arguments, because you could have a company come in and undercut them right away when they put this surcharge on you. But I mean, really, just the nature of the argument itself, that they're already offering a discount, is just so insulting to the consumer, their consumers' intelligence. I mean, but we really shouldn't be surprised back during the attempt at the Time Warner Comcast merger, when they were swearing that it wouldn't be a monopoly, and that they were not competing with each other. They weren't competing each other in these markets anyway, which is really the definition of a regional monopoly. So they're basically saying is like, oh, well, we don't have a monopoly because there's more than one company providing service, but we don't compete with each other in those regions, which is by definition a monopoly. It's insane circular logic. And I mean, they do this all the time. Back when when the FCC was debating whether or not to treat the ISPs as a utility service, they swore up and down that they weren't a utility, and you charge utilities based on the amount. Utilities charge based on the amount of water or power or what have you delivered through the pipes, and we don't do that. We provide an access line. And then later on, they're arguing that they need that because of the rise of Netflix and other streaming services, that they need to start charging tiers to these people who are downloading too much, basically, and gave the argument that providing too many bits to this person is going to affect the person over here when the pipe is plenty wide to do it. So they're basically going back. They went back on their argument, saying that they weren't a utility, and then used the definition of a utility to justify why they need to charge people who download more than others. It's insane. They do this all the time, and it's really just to kind of justify their monopolies and keep their monopolies in place. So what can we do about this? Well, I mean, obviously support, municipal broadband and startups, internet access startups, if you see one. But I mean, for this immediate issue, if you are, a customer of AT&T or Comcast or any other ISP that is collecting this data, and you find out that there is a fee for opting out of this invasion of your privacy, then you can go to the FCC's website and file a complaint. That's consumercomplaints.fcc.gov. You can go ahead and do that. Now, you're only supposed to file a complaint if you feel that unless you're in the situation where you're actually they're actually snooping your line, and this because they do have to admit it. So you got to kind of read the fine print on the service contract or on their website. And if you're you can complain on that, but then you can especially complain if you're being charged a fee to opt out of it. Okay. Before I sign off, I also wanted to address another rumor that's going around. Readers of the blog know that I'm a big supporter of Google Fiber. They're launching Google Fiber in a couple cities around the U.S., namely Provo, Utah, Austin, Kansas City, Nashville, Atlanta, and Charlotte. So they had a whole bunch of deployments planned, and news was released that they hit a snag and in the deployment, and the snag was being the cost of digging and deploying that fiber line. Well, I've seen a lot of people, post on various forums and freaking out like Google Fiber's done. No, it's not. It's not the case at all. What they're doing is due to the expense, they're analyzing other ways to be able to deliver the gigabit speed, more cost effectively. And they still have a fiber backbone going, across the country. So what they're looking as is using that fiber backbone and maybe using another delivery mechanism to get it the rest of the way to the homes and to the various cities. A very viable technology to do this is wireless. There's a millimeter band that can get a millimeter. There's the millimeter frequency band that can get gigabit Ethernet speeds. Starry Internet in Boston is experimenting with that. And recent regulatory filings from Google indicates that that's what they're going to be experimenting with as well, as they filed to deploy wireless internet at millimeter bands to 24 cities within the U.S. So Google Fiber is not dead. If anything, they probably, if it wasn't for the innovation of millimeter bandwidth, they probably would have kept on going. It's just that they see this as a much more cost-effective way to deliver the fiber. So they're ceasing. They're putting a halt on deploying the fiber lines to the house, and are examining other ways to deliver that mechanism that's going to be more cost effective. And if it's more cost effective for them to do that, it's going to be more cost effective for the customers. Now, I mean, Comcast knows this because they're delivering gigabit Ethernet in certain cities over in Chicago, mind you. I think it's over their existing line. They just due to technical advancement. So there goes their whole the pipe's not wide enough argument. But they deliver it, and it costs upwards of $140 a month to get just the internet access. But here's the catch: if you sign on for a 3-year contract, it's only $70 a month. And the reason for that is so they can box out these startups looking at millimeter wave lengths to deliver internet Wi-Fi. Because if you're locked into your 3-year contract with Comcast, it's going to be hard for you to jump on to the new to a startup or to Google Fiber when it comes to your area. Comcast knows this, so they're trying to rig the game ahead of time to kind of keep you in their midst until they can think of another way to get their money out of you. So, I mean, as a rule, I kind of avoid deals with not quite the devil. These providers they're more like a demigod, maybe like Loki. I'd avoid deals with Loki. Well, anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning into the update. I'll try to get these in regularly. Tune in Monday, and you'll hear Joel and I, and we'll be discussing our favorite podcasts. So if you're looking for some more content out there, tune in, and we'll give you some suggestions. See you guys then.